Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and I guess welcome back to me to my channel because it's been a little bit since I've seen you guys. I've been going through some family things, so I haven't been able to film or edit long form content really, which is why you may have seen me on shorts but not on here, but I am back and today I want to do my favorite fall makeup look right now. So let's jump into it. Depending on kind of the look or the vibe or whatever will depend on whether I'm going to go in with my base first or my eyes first, but oh Lord, I'm making a mess. Maybe I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, this is my first time using this foundation, so obviously I don't know how to do it. But anyway, what I was saying was, depending on whether I'm doing like an elaborate eye look or not, will depend on whether I do my eyes first. Since today we're doing kind of a simple look, I'm gonna do my base first. With the new Natasha Denona foundation, I have heard nothing but good things about this foundation, and I have been so looking forward to trying it. This is my favorite concealer formula, so when they said she was coming out with a foundation, I was like, oh, okay, say less, take my money, don't care what it costs, I will be purchasing it anyway. Also, this is a BK Beauty 101 brush. This is one of my favorite foundation brushes. It's not going to be anything honestly too fancy about, you know, the foundation or anything. That's not going to change based on whether, you know, this is a fall look or a winter look or whatever. It's so pretty. Okay, that's actually a pretty decent shade match too. I had that in the shade, I think this is P2. Yeah, P2. I could maybe do P1. Might be a little too dark for me, but the undertone is great. Do our brows super quick. Brows are super specific to each individual person and they're honestly very personal. So I'll show you guys how I do mine, but you know, do your brows how you like to do them. I'll just take the spoolie on the end of my brow pencil, fluff them up, and then I will lightly fill my brows in with the pencil. This is the Morphe Nano brow pencil. This one's in the shade Java. I think I got pretty lucky with my brow genetics, so I don't have to do too much filling in, but I do like to fill in the sparse areas and I do like to elongate the tail just a little bit. Okay. Once the brows are filled in, I'll go in with a brow gel. This one is my personal favorite. This is the Rare Beauty. I'm just gonna fluff them up. I swear, if this brow gel ever went discontinued, they stopped making it, I would honestly probably cry. This is hands down, by far, my favorite brow gel. I feel like it's pretty easy to see why. She's cute. We're done. Let's do concealer. I'm going to go in with Natasha Denona. And I don't like to do a crazy amount of concealer, to be quite honest. I'll just go here, mostly in the center of my face. Sometimes I will use a brush. If I'm going to use a brush, it is the BK Beauty A506. Best concealer brush on the market. Easily no competition. Also, I'm sorry if you guys can hear the wind. It is so windy here today for whatever reason. Oh my gosh, this Natasha Denona. It's almost like they were made for each other. Am I right or am I right? Look at how beautiful that is. If I'm going for more of a full glam look, I will be more strategic in my placement with concealer. And I'll usually go in with like a correcting and a brightening shade. But since this is pretty casual makeup today, like literally the only thing I'm doing today is going to a 1-year-old's birthday party, I'll play it a little fast and loose with where I'm putting my concealer. If I don't use a brush, I'll use a sponge. Sometimes I'll even go in and just kind of pat everything into the skin a little bit more. These are the Papa sponges. They're super viral. They're on Amazon. They're like, I don't know, like $8 for like 6 of them or something like that, but they're really, really good. That's why everybody likes them so much. For concealer, I'll go in with my cream bronzer. I will almost always layer products. This is one of my favorite drugstore bronzer products. This is the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer. This one's in the shade Hey Honey. And I just think this has such a great color. It's a very neutral undertone, so it doesn't pull too orange, but it's also not a contour. So don't get this thinking that it's gonna contour your face. It's not gonna snatch it, but it will give you such a pretty glow and just a tiny bit of definition. I also know that some people are a little bit more particular about where they place their bronzer. For me, since it's a bronzer and not a contour, I'm going to be a little bit more liberal with it in the placement, in that I'm just going to put a decent amount and I'm not going to be too worried about any harsh lines. A lot of the time I'll go back in with my sponge and just kind of diffuse any harsh edges I may have created. Sometimes I'll go in with my concealer afterwards so that this doesn't happen. But again, today I'm not being super particular with the location or placement of my products. Surprise, here we're gonna go in with a cream blush after our cream bronzer. I'm actually gonna mix 2 shades, and this is where we get into a little bit more of the fall makeup look. So for fall makeup, I really like a toasty, kind of peachy, warm, bronzy shade on my cheeks. So my 2 favorites, both Rhode, is Tan Line and Toasted Teddy, and I'm actually gonna mix these 2 together. I'm gonna decide, do I wanna go in directly on my face and mix them, or on the back of my hand? Probably on the back of my hand. So this is Tan Line. It is so pretty. And then Toasted Teddy is going to be a little bit darker, a little bit more of a terracotta shade. So I'll do just a little bit of that one. I'll take my BK Beauty 109. This is my favorite cream blush brush. And I'm going to tap that onto my cheek. I also really like to have my blush kind of marry into my eyeshadow looks. So you will see me place my blush very high up on my cheek. Not everybody likes that, but I really do, especially because I have very round features. So my face shape is oval, my eyes are super round, my nose is super round. So I try to give myself a little bit more lift where I can, and I find that this really helps me do that. I love those 2 mixed together. It's just such a beautiful combination. Again, take my sponge, kind of diffuse any harsh lines that were created from my brush. Now we're gonna go in and set with our powders. You guys already know, if you've watched any of my videos before, about makeup at least, that this is my favorite setting powder. This is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. I have this one in 2 Neutral Light. To be quite honest, I could probably go a shade lighter in this as well, but this one does work pretty well for me and my skin tone. Go into there, tap off any extra excess because I'm not trying to bake. I'm just trying to set. Take this and I'll put this underneath both of my eyes, down my smile lines, over the bridge of my nose, my forehead, and then just a little bit onto my eyelids. I have dry skin, so you really won't see me take my powder too far across my face unless I'm, doing an event or something like that. I might take just the excess that's left on my puff and just pat it around the rest of my face. But typically I'm not gonna set too much outside of my T-zone. You guys already know I'm a layering girly, so we're going to set our we're going to set our cream bronzer with our powder bronzer. This is the Polite Society. Just do a light dusting. I like to go in with a big fluffy brush because, again, I'm not trying to be too specific with the placement, and I'm also not wanting it to be too pigmented. I do have a fair complexion, so I do have to be a little bit lighter handed when it comes to certain products. Arguably my favorite part, this is the powder blush portion. So again, this is kind of where we're bringing that fall in. This is the Saie Super Suede Radiant Blush Powder in the shade Chow. This is the most perfect fall cheek color for light skin tones. It's just this bronzy, it's got a slight hint of peach in there, and then it does have just a tiny bit of a golden sheen. And I just find this to be the most perfect fall cheek color. Like, if I could go into a lab, if I was a beauty brand or a founder or something like that, and I could go in and I could create a powder blush for fall, this would be what I would try to make. Your cheeks are already going to be a little bit glowy if you use this blush, but I'm feeling a little bit of a golden sheen, so I'm going to go in with just a little bit of highlighter. Listen, I know for most people highlighter died in like 2018, but you can pry highlighter out of my cold dead hands. This is the Anastasia Glow Seeker highlighter in the shade Ethereal. It's just a very pretty champagne color, and I'm just going to apply that to the high points of my cheek, a little bit on my nose, and a tiny touch above the brow. I just think that's super beautiful, and it's going to look really good with our eye look here in just a minute. All right, we're moving on to our eyes. This is the Essence Long Lasting Eye Pencil in the shade Black Fever. This is just going to go into my tight line here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're not tight lining, you should be. It will change the way that your mascara sits on your eyes. Go in and do a super, super simple eye look today. I'm kind of going for a little bit of like a warm toasty brown to match our cheeks. So this is the Makeup by Mario Master Matte's Longwear Cream Eyeshadow. This one is in the shade Chestnut. Now these are very pigmented, so I'm just going to take a little bit. You do have working time with these, but they do dry down pretty quickly. So do keep that in mind. You do have to work somewhat fast with these. It's not so much that they're unusable, but it is important to note, which is why I typically just do one eye at a time and make this kind of our crease shade. And you could do this honestly with any eyeshadow, any brown palette that you have. You don't need to go out necessarily and buy these to create this look. You can just recreate this look with anything that you have, honestly, at home that has like similar tones and everything else. I do think I did a tiny bit more on the left eye, so we'll go in. We'll just even these out a smidge. My eyes also aren't completely the same shape, which is very normal, by the way, but it can be a little bit annoying when you're trying to make your eye looks symmetrical. But if that happens to anybody else, just know you are not alone. All right, I'm gonna go in. This is in the shade Sienna now. And this one, I'm just going to concentrate a little bit more on the outer corner of the eye. I'm gonna take a slightly smaller blending brush, and I'm just gonna diffuse that out a little bit into the lash line and then a little bit up into the crease, keeping it more focused to the outside of the eye. We'll do the same thing to the other side. I'm really looking forward to the Sephora sale so that I can get another shade or two of these Master Mattes though, because they really are very, very good. Again, we're keeping things really simple, so we're actually just going to take an eyeshadow stick. This is the Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Sticks in the shade Peach Bum. You're gonna want something a little bit warmer for a fall look, so I'm gonna take this and I'm going to apply it pretty much all over the lid, but focusing heavily on the inner corner to about the midpoint where we put that darker look. Okay, we're gonna go in back with our fluffy blending brush and get rid of any harsh lines. And I'll take whatever's left on here and just kind of run it along my bottom lash line. Before we go in with a liner and mascara, I'm going to do a layer of setting spray. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Setting Spray. I do find that this one gives you a decent amount of longevity. I also am trying to use up this tiny little bottle that I have. Pretty much incapable of doing a makeup look without a wing. So we're gonna go in, this is the Judy Doll Slim Liquid Liner. This is in the shade Deep Brown. And again, you're gonna wanna do a brown if you're trying to recreate a fall look. And I'm just going to try to make the tiniest little wing. One of the best ways I have found to do a winged liner on hooded eyes is to follow your bottom lash line and draw the line straight up with your eyes open. And it will create just a tiny bit of where it almost looks like it's like going over, but that way when your eyes are open, you'll still be able to see that wing. Now the trick is going to be being able to recreate that on the other side. We're back. They're pretty much even, so let's go ahead and do lashes. I'm just gonna do mascara today. You can do a lash, but for me, my day-to-day makeup, I'm just gonna do mascara. This is the Dibs mascara. I don't know if it actually has an official name. I think they only have one mascara, but I think it was Allie Glines recommend this one, and I have not been able to put it down since. I got the mini to try it out so that I wasn't being super wasteful, and I'm gonna have to. The next time I have a 20% off coupon at Ulta, I'm gonna have to pick up the big one because this is literally my favorite mascara at the moment. In with the tubing primer side, and then you go in with the actual mascara side. I think it just gives you a great amount of length, a great amount of volume. I don't personally experience a lot of clumping with it, so I don't get a ton of that spider web eye effect. And I know, I'm probably gonna have people, well, probably not because there's only like 100 of you right now, but maybe someday. And a lot of people on the internet will tell you that you can get great mascaras at the drugstore, so why would you pay for a high-end mascara? For me, I try to mainly shop cruelty-free brands, and unfortunately, some of the best mascaras at the drugstore are queens like L'Oreal and Maybelline. And trust me, when I was in high school, the Maybelline Sky High was like everything to me. Like I would use the Maybelline Lash Stiletto eyeliner and then the Maybelline Sky High mascara, and that was like my go-to. But neither one of them are cruelty-free, so I try not to buy from them. And yeah, so there's really, outside of those two, not a ton of great, like I love CoverGirl, but we can all agree that their mascaras really aren't the best, right? So typically if I want like a very high performing mascara, I'm gonna go high end. It's just a personal choice. You don't have to do that. You get to choose which ones you want to buy. All right, that's the eyes done. So let's go in and do our lips, which next to the eyes is probably the most fall part of this makeup look. But what I love to do is take a darker liner. This is the Saie Lip Liner 101 in the shade Tease. And I'm just going to go and put this on the outside. Two things about my lips: I don't have lip filler and I have a very pronounced Cupid's bow, so you will see me overline the Cupid's bow just a little bit. Okay, once we get that dark brown on the outside, I will take like a lighter, more neutral brown and go back around it and just leave a little bit. So I think today I'm gonna go in with the Morphe Signature Lip Pencil. This one's in the shade Whipped. And basically what I'm gonna do with these is just kind of marry these two together. Then I will take my finger fuse the edges just a little bit. If you want to add a little bit of color and make your look really cohesive, I would take your cream blush and just dot that in the center of your lips. You can stop here if you want a matte lip look. I am not personally huge on matte lip looks on myself, so I'm going to take a lip oil. This is the Merit Shade Slick Tinted Lip Oil in the shade Taupe. And there we have it. This is the final look for a somewhat everyday, maybe slightly more elevated than everyday fall makeup look. Let me know below if you guys try it out, what your fall favorite cheek or lip combo is. I would love to try more. And if you like videos like this, you like talking about beauty and books, a little bit of fashion, maybe a little bit of Taylor Swift, go ahead and hit that follow button. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out. And I will see you guys again in the next one.